Hello everyone, my name is Naomi, aka Nifty Nomi, and welcome to my channel, Be That Business. I'm a Canadian bookkeeper and a new business educator, and I help entrepreneurs look under the hood to see how it all works. I'm fighting the good fight against double work and against giving CRA more money than you have to. I've been putting out useful and interesting newsletters twice a month on the 14th and the 29th. If you prefer to read your newsletters, check out my sign-up link in the comments below. There's also a link to the transcript of today's newsletter. On to today's newsletter. Welcome to January 30th, 2024. In this newsletter, we'll be looking at what's due at the end of January, my 3 favorite resources for January, and what due dates are coming up in February. What's due at the end of January? Here are some end of January due dates that may apply to your business. If you file your GST/HST on a quarterly basis and your quarters follow the standard quarters of a year, like January to March, April to June, July to September, and October to December, then October to December 2023 GST quarter is due to be filed and paid at the end of January. Now, if you don't have all the funds, file on time anyway to not waste money on late filing penalties. Remember, don't give CRA more money than you have to. Now, if you file your GST/HST annually, but last year your GST/HST was greater than $3,000 payable, then you are required to pay quarterly installments, and the last of these GST/HST installments is due to be paid on January 31st. If you file your GST/HST monthly, then your December 1st to December 31st, 2023 GST/HST is due on January 31st. If you have employees, then you are likely registered for provincial workplace insurance like WSIB or WCB. The filing and remitting of WSIB and WCB is different from province to province. Some provinces are due monthly, sometimes on the 15th, but in Ontario, it's on a quarterly schedule. And the premium for the earnings paid to employees from October to December are due to be filed and remitted on or before January 31st. Side note, are you self-employed in the construction industry in Ontario? You may need to pay the WSIB on your labor portion even if you have no employees. Now, there are other remittances or taxes that may be applicable to your industry. For example, maybe you have a municipal accommodations tax for hotels and B&Bs that might be applicable to your jurisdiction. And this might be also on a quarterly basis. And so just a reminder, October to December is one of those standard quarters. And again, that might be also due for you on January 31st. Now, if your business is incorporated and it owed greater than $3,000 in corporate income tax for the previous fiscal year, then it is required to pay installments for the following year on the last day of every month. So January 31st is the due date for the January corporate tax installment. Though there are no other standard items due at the end of this month, be aware that if your corporate fiscal year end is July, your corporate tax return is due 6 months after your fiscal year end, which is January 31st. Now, if your corporate year end is November, the income tax payable is payable 2 or 3 months after the fiscal year end, either due at the end of January or end of February, depending on your corporation. Check in with your accountant to find out more about your corporate tax due dates specific to your corporation. On to my 3 favorite resources for January. Here are 3 fabulous resources that I've come across this past month. Number 1, CIBC's 2024 Tax Toolkit. Tax expert Jamie Gollenbeck has just released CIBC's 2024 Tax Toolkit. This jam-packed tax reference guide has all the numbers you need for 2024, from marginal tax rates for each province and income group to the new CPP limits, probate fees by province, and a full corporate integration tax charts. I have a link for it down in the description below. Number 2, 10 email tips to save your sanity. CPA Jason Stats shared 10 email tips that he knows have changed his life. Link in the description below. Number 3, what should Canadian entrepreneurs expect for 2024? I've linked to a blog post from BDC down below that gives you ideas about the threats and opportunities facing your business in 2024. What resources have you found that have helped you start, run, or grow your business? Feature it and a call out to your business in our next resources newsletter. On to what due dates are coming up in February. Now is the time to prep your February business calendar. Be that business that is organized. Here are some February due dates that might affect your business. If you have employees, February 15th is the due date for your payroll source deductions relating to January's payroll. If you have employees, then you are likely registered for provincial workplace insurance, so WSIB or WCB. Now, WCB in some provinces is due monthly and on the 15th. In Ontario, though, it is due quarterly, and we've already discussed that that was due at the end of January for October to December. But other provinces are monthly, so look at the due date for February for you. T4s are due to be filed for your employees on or before February 29th. If you used a payroll provider, make sure that they will be filing your employees' T4s for you. Now, if you use payroll software, there may be some extra steps for you to do. In QuickBooks, it's a simple XML file to upload, and then you can print the employee's copy right from QuickBooks. There is a link in the description below on how to upload that XML file from QuickBooks. Now, if you did your payroll for your employees manually and are curious about how to file them online using CRA's web forms, well, I also have a handy-dandy video on how to do that, linked in the description below. Now, I made this a few years ago, but the general flow is the same. When you use CRA's web forms to manually file, you can print a copy from there and hand those out to your employees. T4As are also due on or before February 29th. T4As are the income slips that you issue to independent workers who are not an employee, such as contractors who received a commission. T5s are also due on or before February 29th. T5s report various types of investment income. They can also declare dividend income and shareholder draws for shareholders of a corporation and are done by your accountant. Your accountant will need to see your financials to see what needs to be issued. So now is the time to finalize your 2023 bookkeeping and share with your accountant so they can prepare and file your T5s on time. If you are a registered charity, then February 29th is also when your donation receipts are due to be issued. If your business is incorporated and owed greater than $3,000 in corporate tax income for the previous fiscal year, then it is required to pay installments for next year on the last day of every month. February 29th is the due date for the February corporate tax installment. If your corporation is federally incorporated, you must file with Corporations Canada every year. Now, though they call it an annual return, this is not the corporate tax return T2 that you must file with CRA every year. It's a different thing. The filing deadline is 60 days following a corporation's anniversary date, and I have a link to more details down in the description. Though there are no other standard items due at the end of this month, be aware that if your sales tax filing is monthly, January's GST/HST filing and remittance is due on February 29th. If your sales tax quarterly filing is on a different schedule because of a corporate fiscal year end date that is not standard, the GST/HST for a quarter November to January would also be due February 29th. Also, if your corporate fiscal year end is August, your corporate tax return is due 6 months after your fiscal year end, so that would be February. If your corporate year end is December, the income tax payable is payable either 2 or 3 months after the fiscal year end, either due in February or in March, depending on your corporation. Check in with your accountant to find out more about your corporate tax due dates specific to your corporation. If you found this video useful, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'm on Instagram at BeThatBusiness. You can tweet at me or X at me. I'm at NiftyNomi, and I'm also at NiftyNomi on Twitch and TikTok. And you can find resources and courses about running a Canadian business on my website, naomiwilkins.ca. And can also subscribe to my newsletter. Created to be interesting and useful, the Be That Business newsletter is a twice monthly email, one on the 14th of every month with my 3 favorite business hacks, and one on the 29th of every month with my 3 favorite resources. The video today was recorded in beautiful Gananoque, Ontario. Thanks for watching, and get out there and be that business that thrives.